There is no such thing as fragmented mind. See, this is a kind of a way the language can be used when it doesn't really denote anything new. It doesn't add anything. Mind, in its essence, is consciousness. There is even Shiva Sutra that declares that, one of the sutras. Mind is consciousness. In Sanskrit language, the word chit often denotes two things at once and used interchangeably. Chit as consciousness with regard to supreme consciousness, chit, cosmic consciousness, universal consciousness, and chit as mind.
Jai Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev.
My grandmother's also going through a seeming end-of-life process. And I've been with her in hospital lately. And honestly, it's been so beautiful and such a gift to witness the luminosity and the aliveness that's present in every moment, even in the seeming dullness that appears at the end of life. What I've also been witnessing, not so much in my grandmother, but just by bathing in this environment, is that towards later life, the fragmented mind has nowhere to hide, and it reveals itself through, the speech that's unfiltered. So, many senior people will say things that they would not say in the past, but clearly it was buried in the subconscious, and then it comes out. So my question was, how to heal the fragmented mind and how to unify it, because surely there is a way to address and align this throughout life. So it's not so much to avoid that outcome in the future, but that outcome is clearly showing that at the root there is a fragmentation within. So that's my question. And then there's something else, because I feel really like such a hypocrite in many ways in this work, because the truth is I don't believe in the root of this work, which is that the human is divine at its core. And I feel like if I don't believe that, then what am I even doing here? And I just feel really like it's just such a, it's a big misalignment within my being that I don't accept that core teaching. And even when I hear it, there's an inner voice that says, I believe it for Sri Aurobindo, Ramakrishna, etc. But for me, no, So I feel like I need to heal that fragment within, because it's a huge impediment to this work. Thanks.
So the second part is that, just so that I make sure that I didn't follow my conclusions of mishearing you. You're saying that you don't believe yourself that human is divine, right?
I don't believe within my own being that this potential is available. I could believe it in other enlightened beings, because I see that luminosity, for example, in the mother, or even in Sundari Ma from our Sangha. There's so much light and beauty, so it's easy for me to accept. But when I see my own being, if I compare it to the devas like Mahalakshmi or something, I feel like, no way, there's no way, it's not possible. So it's difficult to accept.
Okay. Now it's clear. All right, well, first about the mind, right? The fragmented mind. Let's just look into this attentively. There is no such thing as fragmented mind. See, this is a kind of a way the language can be used when it doesn't really denote anything new. It doesn't add anything. Mind, in its essence, is consciousness. There is even Shiva Sutra that declares that, one of the sutras. Mind is consciousness. In Sanskrit language, the word chit often denotes two things at once and used interchangeably. Chit as consciousness with regard to supreme consciousness, chit, cosmic consciousness, universal consciousness, and Chit as mind. See? It is for a reason, because there is an understanding that there is no such thing as a borrowed luminosity of the mind. And it's mind that is what gives us a sensation of anything that is being illumined. It is through the mind that we can reflect anything, just as that quality of the moonlight that can be easily enjoyed, easily taken in, comprehended. It doesn't hurt the retina. Sun is the only source of light, as far as the solar system is concerned. The only source of light. We can't see any other planet unless it is somehow surface of that planet or this planet is lit by the sun. So much so the moon. And therefore the moon stands there esoterically, metaphysically, to represent the quality of the mind. This whole triumvirate of the relationship. The aforementioned fire, sun, and moon. All alchemy, all yoga, all tantra is based on that. Even as we speak of Trikashaivism, and we utilize that all-encompassing nature of the three here, the true Trinity, we could also view it from the place of what represents here the solar aspect, the lunar aspect, and the fiery aspect. Remember, we talked about it. You've been already, you came at the time when this suddenly became more emphasized and more brought in our programs, even short ones as we had in Poland. So, mind cannot be fragmented. It's a matter of speech. No mind is fragmented. Every mind is just a mind. In essence, it's that what used as instrumentality, as a focal point, as that what acts as a funneling point for awareness to become a particular beam of light. It can be diffused, it can be brought into sharpness, it can be brought focal point to this point in macro photography to this, and it can be dispersed to the horizon, or to dispersed into not seeing anything clearly. That's what this is, that analogy, optical analogy. In fact, this optical analogy can be applied to any sense perception. But here, in particular, it is useful with regard to the working of the eye as an instrumentality and working of the mind as an instrumentality. So mind can be arrested by anything particular, anything surface, so to speak, or of surface level. And the mind can be also thinking in abstract terms, thinking about not something in specific, just reflecting, meandering, wandering, contemplating. That diffused awareness. Diffused awareness is mind in no particular way of paying attention to something. These qualities also need to be fostered, because we are taught to pay attention only, or rather master, that quality of the mind which is in favor or in service of solving something particular. In other words, it's the utilitarian, maybe, way of using the mind. And it pays off. Look at our culture, look at our civilization. Wherever our attention put onto something long enough, there it comes. And there it comes in clusters of how it's getting perfected further and further and further. Why? Because there is a possibility of putting one's attention onto something long enough, and that is due to the capacity of the mind. In a way, mind's ability is limitless. It's not correct by what some of the spiritual perceptors, teachers out there, like kind of undermining the mind, bashing the mind, that it's done for a purpose. But mind as a reflection of awareness is just as limitless as awareness itself. How can it be otherwise? If we consider it to be otherwise, we give mind a kind of independent existence. But if we are standing on a platform of non-duality, Advaita, oneness, then everything is more like a hologram. Everything more like a fractal. Everything replicates itself. So if awareness here, then it means everything has awareness in its fractal way. We talked about it more emphatically now at the Good Soundstuff, when we spoke about it. Were you with us? Yes, at the Good Soundstuff just now in July. We talked about it, right? When we talked about went into this, what now forming the body of our course on Spanda. Talked about this, you see? So, in a way, for someone who has really have insight, it's an answer why every plane of reality is complete in itself. Every plane of reality, doesn't matter whether this is plane of pure categories we spoke earlier, or plane of pure energies, psychic plane, or this realm of manifested form and phenomena. It's always fullness expresses itself as fullness, that principle of Purnamada, Purnamidam. This reality, this relative is full, that absolute is full. And so it goes. It makes sense. It begins to make sense that a reality at any of its levels is complete or feels complete because it is complete. You see? It's another very interesting question, is that why then we embark on a spiritual journey? Why cannot be we satisfied by bread alone? Why cannot we just, if this manifested plane of reality, this so-called physical plane of reality is already complete, why isn't it not enough? Well, guess what? It is enough. If only we have eyes to see and hands to touch fully. If only we can have the capacity to take it all in fully, it is enough. The reason why it is not enough is because rapture took place somewhere, somehow. Rapture. Rapture that we try to repair. How? I don't know. 10,000, 25,000, 50,000 years ago. I have no idea when it happened. All this being pushed, constantly pushed, further back. When did that happen? Imagine yourself sitting here right now as a Neolithic person from the time of Neolith. You wouldn't have a notion of yourself as an individual entity. There will be a different experience altogether. You get up and go as entirety of your environment. Neolithic people lived in nature, as nature. We live now in a very different way, in more and more and more individualized way. It's an interesting phenomenon. That's why I've mentioned yesterday this. The arrival of existentialism marked a turning point in our culture at large. From there on, we're becoming progressively more and more individualized. It's an interesting process. Wherever it takes us, there are interesting variables where it can take us. But going back to your question, so that there is this clarity. Mind can be your greatest friend and your greatest enemy on that very account, that mind is that lens, is that focal point. Whatever you tune in through your mind. This is why it's not good to lose one's mind. Not advisable. It's good to have the capacity to switch mind off at the will, as you do with the switch. I want light, boom, light. Remote digital on remote control, or have to press, with the finger, the switch. Now I want to be really, really giving all my attention to something. And I can. And now I don't. I just want to let go. Just want to let go of all that. That's really speaking about down-to-earth practical aspects of fostering something useful. This is everyone's manifestation. Let's manifest this. Let's manifest that. See? This is an extraordinary gift, all of us equipped at birth. So I wouldn't worry about whether your mind is fragmented or anyone's mind is fragmented and whatever pops up there in the moments of when the subconscious mind begins to, speak out loud. What's the big deal? Who cares? I love it when, senior people just like cut through all of it. It's just like, it's to me it's endearing, like just suddenly they become children again. Anyway, we become children at that age. Kids don't care, It's like little sibling tells to the elder sibling, "You go away, you have bad breath, you smell horrible, you stink." Right? The friend is not going to say that to you. There's boundaries, let alone boyfriend. But your little sister can say that if she's at that age when everything is permissible. And old people become that. So it's not because of mind is fragmented. No. So no mind is fragmented. Mind is that. It's a fluctuation, it's a wave on the shimmering ocean of sound. It's the wave on the ocean of Shiva. That's what mind is. Wave, myriad of waves shimmering. Sometimes it settles down completely and then it's indistinguishable. You can't tell where the wave is, where the ocean is. So this is just a reminder. That's why in Shiva Sutras there's a very clear, one single sweeping aphorism. One single aphorism. Mind is consciousness. That's it. And then it goes, this master, this sage, giving the gloss on why that is, what it really means. If not for mind, there will be no sign of self-realization. Mind is this, what embodies lunar qualities. Awakening is only a fiery stage, fiery phase. Fire at the base, sun in the center, and moon, the sphere of the moon. All this is where the nectar flows down. Nectar comes from the moon. Ambrosia flows down from the moon. That's what yogi aim at. Yogis. In every culture, not just pertinent to India. Mind has to be intact. See? So that's the proper understanding of the nature of the mind. And then the mind begins to reflect the light of awareness, the sun of awareness. And because it reflects through the surface of the mind, it is that analogy of the moon. It is then becomes nectarian. If before mind brought constant worries, limitations, constant sense of unease, illumined mind begins to bring ambrosia. It oozes with nectar, and that nectar runs down, even through the glandular secretion. But it is all because of the nature of the mind is now fully recognized for what it is, reflects the light of the Absolute, all within this supreme anatomy of yours. So what is not divine there? What is profane there? What is sacred? In you as you sit here. Not a function, not a movement of your eyelashes when you blink is not an extraordinary affair. Everything, as you sit, as you go, as you collect yourself, or as you lose yourself, it's not on the account of how you see others. You know, every star, every movie star, every Hollywood star is measured against Brad Pitt today. And all of them drooling. Even the men say, I'm straight, but if push come to shove, if it's Brad Pitt, I'll reconsider. They all confess. You see? So it's like they're all A-listers, they're all stars, they all shine. And then comes Brad Pitt. You see? Reminds one about one's mortality. So you have to have this, like, you see, down to earth, sense of humor. So be rooted, you know, stand with both feet on the ground and know that no ground is less holy because you stand on it. And go and find out. Find out, firsthand, find out why everyone is divine. Everything is divine. It's lit all by the one and only light. There's no borrowed light. There's no hierarchy in the domain of light. There is no rays of the sun that are less in light, less in brilliance. And that illumines everything. It shines equally on the saint and on the sinner, in equal measure. And that light comes from your heart, as from the heart of every man. And so who is divine here? Who is not divine? Who is more? Who is less? It's not a matter of speculation. Thank you.